news today that they're trying to figure out this continuing resolution. Of course, everybody's trying to slide their own little bit of pork in. Marjorie Greene pointing this out, just how disgusting this process is right now on Capitol Hill. Listen.
Well, it's really turning into, it's not a CR, which is a continuation of the budget. It's turning into an omnibus, is what it sounds like to me, where they're packing in, everybody's packing in what they want here and there, and using the pressure and the situation of the government shutdown. Of course, tragically, farmers are being dangled. Americans that suffered through natural disasters, they're being dangled with disaster relief. And I think that's incredibly unfair. And you know, think about it like this: if this is going to turn into a 3-month omnibus, basically, then why aren't we doing the heavy lifting on, the upcoming debt ceiling situations that we have to deal with in March, government funding? But no, and we don't have any bill text. I have no idea what's in the CR except just basic things that we were told in there.
Unbelievable, right? Well, part of this is because everybody's terrified of Doge and what Doge is going to mean when they come in and they take a red pen to everything that's going on. But Marjorie Greene making the point that nobody even knows what's in there. Well, there's one little thing that just came out just a short time ago. I just talked to Senator Toomey about it, former senator from Pennsylvania. They're trying to slide all kinds of things in here, specifically the pharmaceutical industry. Oh, we just love them, right? Let's take a listen to what Pat Toomey has to say. Joining me right now with more on all of this crazy last-minute stuff that they're trying to sneak in there, I have Senator Pat Toomey, who represented the great state of Pennsylvania for some time. Good to see you, Senator.
Hey, Tricia, thanks for having me.
So I'm sort of like, wow. I mean, this is like a last-minute thing, right? Continuing resolution. They're trying to stuff as much as they can. And one of the things that caught my eye is what they're trying to do vis-a-vis health insurance. And this is a little complicated. I'm going to warn everybody in advance, but suffice it to say, it's once again big government kind of trying to take over your health care for the profitability of certain people, and frankly, in my estimation, the lack of care for everyone else. But I'll let you walk us through it. So we've got a continuing resolution, and somebody snuck something here as it relates to insurance and the cost of that we pay for drugs.
Yeah, if we could step back for just one second, Tricia, for context, the continuing resolution is the bill to fund the government. If it doesn't pass, then there would be some partial government shutdown for some period of time. And really what Republicans should be doing here is trying their best to have what we used to call a clean CR, clean in the sense that all you do is continue the current level of funding across the board until some defined date in the relatively near future, and you avoid loading it up like a Christmas tree with all kinds of ornaments. Unfortunately, it looks like this is getting a lot of ornaments, and some of them are huge and extremely expensive. This bill has only been out since about noontime today, Tuesday, and it appears that there's something on the order of 800 pages, all on remaking the healthcare market. Now, what does that have to do with keeping the government open for a few more months until Republicans have complete control of the government? But apparently it's in there, and it's going to have the government mandating how private businesses can relate to each other, specifically the role that pharmaceutical benefit managers, PBMs, can play in negotiating savings from Big Pharma, from whom they negotiate the purchase of medicines for employers who pay for health insurance for their workers.
So just to back up, a company hires a PBM, and the PBM goes out there and they're supposed to get the best prices for the company. And that's why the company's hired them. They're acting like as an agent, and they're supposed to be getting the best possible prices for the company.
That's exactly right. And it's also important to keep in mind that most of the clients of the PBMs are small and medium-sized businesses that individually would have no leverage whatsoever against a giant multinational pharmaceutical company. And so that's one of the reasons they hire PBMs. PBMs have many such clients, and the aggregate purchasing power of all of their clients together gives the PBMs the leverage to negotiate discounts, which often come in the form of rebates based on volume, and that gets passed on to employers. And here's a really important thing to remember. No employer is forced to hire a PBM, but they usually do because they realize it's a way to get a more affordable, less expensive, and more flexible plan for their employees. And this is going to get massively disruptive if it passes in the form that it appears to be in this bill.
And walk us through why. Suddenly they're getting
Well,
incentives from the federal government as opposed to companies themselves?
No, I think what's happening here, and again, the text has only been out for 30 minutes, so I haven't had a chance to go through it all.
We
in great
appreciate it.
detail.
This is what you call being on the news curve. Here on the Trish Regan Show, we're on the news.
Yeah, I mean, I think what happens is there's slightly different mechanisms that the bill contemplates, whether it is a purely private plan between an employer and a insurance company and pharmaceuticals versus Medicare, which is a government-sponsored plan. And the government, in both cases, this bill is meant to have the government mandate the terms and the circumstance and the nature of the compensation that the PBMs can receive for having secured the savings they've gotten. In the purely private market, there's absolutely no reason for the government to come in and mandate this. In the Medicare market, it's just a bad idea because this has been explored before and it's going to cost more money for Medicare beneficiaries or taxpayers or both. So
who's making out here? The pharmaceutical companies?
The pharmaceutical companies want this provision very badly. I think it's safe to assume that they want it because it's good for them. And they have been the primary advocates for this policy.
I mean, again, I just get back to, it seems like this is a relationship between the company who's trying to protect and get the best prices for its workers and the PBM to suddenly have Uncle Sam coming in from top down and saying, no, we want to get this price and that price, and the pharmaceutical companies being the organization that stand to benefit there. This makes me really uncomfortable, really nervous. And by the way, like, this isn't going to pass the smell test, I don't think, with Doge or anything else, but I wonder if they're trying to like force it in at the 11th hour because, well, they don't have as big a majority there yet, and they don't have Doge there yet, and they don't have President Trump there yet. What's your reaction to the timing, shall we say?
Well, I think you're onto something there. There are a lot of Democrats for whom this kind of policy has been a big priority for a long time, and they realize that their leverage is going to be much reduced when a Republican Senate is sworn in and the Republican president replaces a Democrat president. So yeah, I think that's part of the impetus to get it done now.
So how do we stop it? Are you talking to other Republican lawmakers? I mean, you're here on my show. I appreciate it, but what does one do to kind of just stop this dead in its tracks so it doesn't get too far down?
I'm still within 2 years of having left the Senate, so there's a prohibition against my speaking directly to my former colleagues about what I think is good and bad policy. So I can come on your show and tell the world what I think, but I can't do that specifically with individual members of Congress.
So I think we need to, we'll tweet this out. We'll get this out. I know that there's a site that people can go to, Pharma Windfall, I guess, because that's what it would be, .com. So, go to Pharma Windfall. I would say maybe reach out to your local law enforcement, right? So that people are aware of it.
Lawmakers, legislators.
Forgive me, yes.
Right.
Long day already.
But I understand. Yeah, I think reach out to members of Congress and say, what in the world are you doing? Ask them if they can explain what's in this 800 pages. I think that'd be pretty challenging for almost anybody,
Well, who's going to read it? Let's be honest. You're going straight into the holidays.
Yeah, right. You couldn't read this if you spent the next 48 hours continuously trying to read it and understand it, and yet there's going to be a vote on it. That's part of what's wrong with this process. Okay, well, I'm so glad that you're here today. I'm so glad we're calling attention to it. Do call your local lawmaker. Do go to pharmawindfall.com, and we'll get the word out. One person at a time. That's how we've been building this channel and building this show. So one person at a time. We don't want more big pharma, at least in my view, taking control of our lives. And big government dictating the terms of our health insurance and health coverage.
Senator Toomey, it is good to see you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Have a happy New Year. We'll have to get an update on this from you soon.
All right. Take care.
Thanks. Wow. So, Senator Toomey, trying to call attention to that, and it's a good thing. It's unbelievable. You know, I'm telling you, the Doge thing can't happen soon enough. We really need to focus on paring down this government, getting everybody's pet project out of the way, because otherwise, you know, this is not a good scenario for our future.